Guys, DIY Maniac here. So we're going to have a little interesting video for today. It's going to be repairing the water dispenser on my KitchenAid fridge. So this is side-by-side door with freezer on the bottom. And the water machine, you might be saying, hey John, there's no water machine on the front. What water dispenser? Well, on this particular model, it's on the inside. So you can see there, there's a pad with a button. When you push your glass, the water gets dispensed. The button on the dispenser is getting sticky. So you're putting the glass to dispense your water, you remove the glass and the water keeps coming out. Hopefully most of the time it'll stop before you're overflowing your glass, but it happened to me where it kept overflowing. I had to smack it with my fist to unlodge the button. So there's something going on with that button, it's sticky. So we're going to inspect and see what's going on. So step one, turn off the water. Off the fridge. So if you have a valve for your water line coming in, turn that off. If you don't, turn the main off. And we're going to remove this assembly here. So I'm going to get everything ready and I'm going to show you how that's done. So because we're going to be working in the fridge for a while and the doors are going to be open, we don't want to have the fridge running all the time. So two things you could do: shut the breaker off, obviously, is one thing. But on this particular fridge, you could actually turn the cooling off. If you see here, it says hold 3 seconds for cooling off. So if your fridge has that, you don't have to run into your garage or basement to turn it off. You hold those two buttons together for 3 seconds and the fridge turns off. And that way you still have the light to work to see what you're doing. So that's a little trick I wanted to share with you guys. If you have the water off and you turned off the valve, whether it was the independent valve for the fridge itself or the main, drain the water out of the system. So when you remove this switch panel and the hose in behind it, you're not going to have water going everywhere. So we shut off the main, so we're just going to drain the system. So you can see there, you can hear the water machine wind the dispense and no more water coming out. So to remove this bezel and the plate assembly, if you look underneath, you're going to see there's a little opening in there, and that allows you to insert a screwdriver, a flat blade screwdriver, because inside there's a little clip that we got to push up on. So we put our screwdriver in, push up on the clip, you can feel it, and then pry the panel away from the fridge as you do that. Like that. And you can see it releases. And now the whole assembly could come out. And then from there, we could start diagnosing and looking at where the issue could possibly be. So as we know, we have the pad here. When we push the pad, you're basically pushing this plastic white tab inside this slot here, which has a little black button inside that goes sideways. So when you push the pad, the white tab gets pushed in, which forces that little black switch inwards to have water. So why it's getting hung up and why it's sticking is not the actual button, because what I did is I tested the button with a screwdriver by pushing on it directly, pushing, releasing, no sticking at all. But when I put the panel back on and I do the same thing, again, that's sticking. So what's happening is this white tab is getting hung up inside here. So when you push it, it's supposed to then, when you release, pop out, but it's getting stuck in there. Probably through a little bit of grime, who knows, right? I mean, it could be a number of things. So what I'm gonna do is put a little bit of grease on here to lubricate it so it slides a little bit freer and easier in and out of this slot here, and that should stop it from binding. The grease I'm using, it's the Permatech Ultra Slick synthetic grease. I use this around the cars and stuff for little areas that need some lubricating. It always comes in very well. So I'm going to put a little bit of a little dab of that on that white tab that we talked about. So let's go do that and see how it works. Put the grease on. I didn't put much. You're just going to want to put a thin layer just to lubricate. So you can't even really see. You can see a little bit of grease there. Just a thin layer just to lubricate it. Now to put this back on, don't just go slamming it in. Make sure your hose lines up. So you see the hose has a slot here. Everything fits in. Kind of see how it goes in there. And as well, the top has a lip up here that catches inside this bezel. So what you got to do is start with the top in, pushing down, such, and then the bottom itself could be pushed in and clicked in like that, and then we're good to go. Okay guys, well, we have success. I turned the water back on. I've been running some tests for the past 5 minutes, putting a glass, taking it away. So what's happening before was I put the glass, and as I took it away, for at least a few seconds afterwards, the water would keep running. And a couple of times it would not stop running. I had to smack it. So putting that little bit of grease helped lubricate that pin to help stop it from binding inside the slot. So now we can see it's very responsive now. I haven't seen it as responsive in a while. So again, no sticking whatsoever. As soon as I release the brass, it's stopping. So anyways, guys, that was just a quick little fun video for repairing a sticky water dispenser on my KitchenAid fridge, but applicable to any other model fridge, as they're pretty much all the same, that has the water dispenser on the inside, this particular model. So remember, once you get everything back in, obviously your water's back on because we ran that test. Turn your cooling back on so you don't have a mad wife with bad groceries. Hold it for 3 seconds, turn it back on. And now cooling comes back on. Fridge is running and everything's good. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you have any questions in regards to this repair or any other things you want to know, reach out in the comments. Thanks again, guys.